interesting because I've never worked with so many different composers and you get so much different music. There's a scene I'd asked Pete to compose a song for, and we tried it on and it didn't quite work, but when we transplanted it on a different scene, it felt real. Because the other aim, which was very hard for all these guys making the music, was the song would sound like it was a 45 that the DJ found. But then we were only going to dip in for like 15 seconds, so they had to like compose sections that felt like whole songs. Sorry, I rambled.
No, I mean, I think that was the bit that took the most time. I think it's kind of hard when you look at your 10-second slot there, like the pop going, and you think it's fantastic. And yeah, there's 3 songs in there, and then rightly so, you lose the aesthetic that it's meant to feel like it already existed, and you go and see it, you're kind of playing away. And I think moving.
Trying to get them to go to tape for you.
No. And I think moving the tunes that were written for certain scenes into other scenes really helped the feeling that these songs already existed and they weren't made specifically for the film.
Thanks. And just quickly, to ask about the shoot again, like the length of the whole project, but also how long the shoot was and how long Claire was involved. If you were talking about it in advance.
Yeah, Claire was involved for a long time, from like the moment that we thought of making it. But actually, from the moment we thought of making it to making it, it was only a couple of months, really, wasn't it? You know, it was a sort of, how long are we going to sit around moaning? You know, a lot of cups of tea, I hate everything. And then for actually, you know what, let's just make something. You know, it went to Rankin Films, blah, 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 and then got it done very, very quickly. It was written very quickly. Tat Radcliffe, the DOP, who is brilliant, did a brilliant thing, which was a terrifying thing, but it was 17 pages long, which means it was going to be about 17 minutes long, that Tilly has said is a good length. And we had a 3-day shoot, and 2 nights before we were going to shoot, Tat said it's too long. For a DOP, I was like, oh, really? It's too long. But then I kind of sat down and thought, he's totally right. And had like an absolutely terrifying night where my sister put Michael Jackson's Beat It on really loud and was like, come on! And we cut like, I think 10 pages in one night, which was amazing. And I think with shorts, just cutting. Now I would go and cut more, you know, till you end up with 50 seconds that you're like, yeah. But that was really exciting actually. I think it terrified Claire and Paul, because I arrived in the morning and was like, here you go, here's the 7-page script. And actors tend to have got quite connected to bits, and are like, where's that gone, where's this gone? But I was really thrilled by that. And, you know, present company accepted. I don't think it's a bad thing to put on actors on edge a little bit every now and again, just kind of get them out of their comfort zone. And sometimes with scripts, actors, I'll say this because I act as well, can really hone into certain lines and sort of start to think everything revolves around that. So if you get rid of it all just before they're about to do it, then they have to work something else out, and often that can keep them sort of a bit fresh. Sorry, Claire. And then it was a 3-day shoot, and the stuff in the therapist's office was shot on a very gentle day of like 2 actors in a confined space, and then the stuff in the studio was demented, and lots of like, right, moving on, dance, stand there, come on. But both of those atmospheres kind of suited it, so yeah, that was awesome. And then edited actually slightly, it was about a 3-week edit.
Okay, so just the last, the length of the shoot, just really, I think.
So yeah, 2 sort of evening rehearsals with me, and then I think it was just a couple of hours with Tilly, where we basically had a chat with Tilly, we were like, this is a bit weird. And then the shoot was done over 2 consecutive weekends, so I think the shoot started at 8 on all days and ended at like 9 in the evening. And then I'm not sure how long the edit took, but yeah, it was all done really, really quickly and brilliantly organised. I think if you've got a team that are on it, you can't go wrong, really. And our DOP just was excellent, knew what he was doing. We were both looked after brilliantly by the crew. So yeah, just organisation, really.
Another element for making a shoot, once you've got a good short script, get it well organised. Okay, so we've got time for another sort of 3 questions or so let's have that one there.
Hello, my question's for Flight of the Pompadour. It's very rare now to see films in 35mm. I was just wondering, what was the decision process for that? Why specifically did you choose that?
Specifically that, because I know I'm not going to get a chance again. And we didn't shoot it on 35, we shot it on Super 16, and blew it up. And we thought that would look interesting as well in terms of how the grain would come out and stuff. But mainly because I think it's becoming so rare to see even features in cinemas projected on film. And you know, I do miss just the fact that it's not quite steady and it moves and it just looks. I can't put my finger on it. I think that's why film is quite special. You can't quite put your finger on it. Does it maybe Bjorn?
I think you choose it because you think it's the best look, no? Or I think we like, at least I like a lot of digital formats, but I think film still has a look that is better. And yeah, it's very rare also for me to shoot on film now because everyone is pushing digital, less labs and yeah, everybody's putting their finger on all the problems they have with shooting on film, but I think it's got a life to it that the digital formats don't have yet, I think.
And also, just out of interest, for the London Film Festival, which is in this cinema and many other cinemas across London, they've actually had to hire in special 35mm projection for some of those cinemas because they've just ripped it out because it's pure digital. So the LFF and festivals are sometimes the only places you can see 35 at some of the cinemas. Anyway, thanks. Let's have another couple of questions. And we haven't had any from over there, maybe because I can't remember. Has anybody got their hands over there? Well, let's head to its front. But it's right at the back.
Hi, mine is for the Shoot Me people. What was the inspiration behind your story and the characters of it all, with scared of being taken a photo of? What was the inspiration for that?
I guess it was to do with both me and Claire talking about how it feels as a woman to get older in a world where most of the imagery that we see is of very young faces or photoshopped faces, and how there is a part of you that wants to see yourself looking the sort of generic way we see beauty as being, but also that you feel kind of bad about that because you want to kind of grow with your face rather than being held back. And then the other part of the story, the inspiration, and it made me laugh, the programmer said, "Oh, it's the most unbelievable bit of your film. The black tongue happened to me." I did take a wind helping tablet and end up in the actual studio where we shot, surrounded by models and kind of glamorous people chatting away, thinking I was being really kind of cool, before someone went, "You've got a completely black tongue." And so there was just something about those two stories that I thought that epitomised how you feel, this awful feeling of like, oh, I'm doing my best to kind of be confident, whereas everyone else is going, whoa, what is wrong with her face? And I do think having your photograph taken, there's all these kind of hopes that that person's going to see something that's going to make you feel better about yourself. But then there's this awful sort of feeling when I went to watch them shooting a lot, the photographer's surrounded by assistants, they're in a gang. But the person in the cove, that it's called, is by themselves. And I thought, this is all wrong. The person who should be feeling confident is sort of stood by themselves, and then the photographer's in this big gang. So I wanted to catch that, really.
And also, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I was sent to have my photograph taken by Rankin. And I was so shy and kind of awkward and it's just so appalling that he didn't know what to do with me, so he sent me home with the camera to take my own picture. So all those things kind of tied up and, produced it.
And the brilliant thing about that is, how long ago was that? 20 years ago. Claire's never ever forgotten. But when Rankin came to the set for a day, she was like, "Do you remember you sent me home with and he was like, "Nope, I don't remember that." So also that thing of the person who's having their picture taken, having so many feelings, and the photographer's bam, done it on, next, bam, done it on. So that's where we came from.
Thank you very much. I am sorry that we have to end it there. We have to get out of here. So can we have a big round of applause for